At every corner in every advertisement, we are told the exact same thing. The future is electric. But why have the world's biggest automotive giants slashed their EV investments by 40% in recent months and started pumping billions of dollars back into internal combustion engines? The electric car era didn't start because it's a sustainable technology. It started because manufacturers realized they could skip complex mechanical craftsmanship and turn cars into rolling pieces of cheap software. But today, due to battery recycling crises, human tragedies in lithium mines, and inadequate global power grids, this bubble is about to burst. The automotive world has finally faced the harsh realities behind the zero emissions illusion. Strap in, because we are pulling back the curtain on this multi-billion-dollar game, starting all the way from the very first electric cars. While most people assume electric cars are a 21st century invention, back between 1890 and 1900, a staggering 38% of the cars on the road were actually electric. In fact, there were over 60 electric taxis operating on the streets of New York. However, with cheap oil and Henry Ford's mass production, that era came to an end, until 2008 when Tesla burst onto the scene with its legendary Roadster. Driven by a Silicon Valley mindset, visionary CEOs succeeded in transforming the automobile from a mere means of transportation into a smartphone on wheels. Between 2015 and 2023, stock prices skyrocketed, and the electric vehicle era officially kicked off. But did this trend catch on because it was a mechanical masterpiece, or was there another underlying reason? Here is the absolute truth. A classic internal combustion car contains over 2,000 moving parts. Manufacturing, lubricating, and assembling each of these components with millimeter precision requires massive labor costs. On the flip side, an electric vehicle only has about 20 moving parts. This means that by shifting to EVs, manufacturers slashed their labor and mechanical costs by nearly 50%. To hide the fact that they skimped on premium leather and solid tactile buttons, they slapped giant touchscreens into the center console, screens that cost them a mere $50 to manufacture. By balancing software with bare-bones mechanics, your car is no longer a triumph of engineering. It's just a cheap operating system waiting for its next software update. Cutting corners on material quality was simply rebranded as futurism. Now let's look at the dark side of the coin that hits consumers the hardest, the one manufacturers try so desperately to hide: battery lifespan. The lithium-ion batteries we know all too well from our smartphones are a ticking time bomb inside electric vehicles. An EV battery warranty usually lasts about 8 years. But what happens after that? When the battery capacity drops down to 30% after 8 to 10 years, the bill you face is an absolute shockwave. Today, replacing a battery pack on a standard electric car costs anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000. That is often more than the entire resale value of the car at that point. Because of this, the used EV market is currently in total collapse. Nobody wants to buy a second-hand electric car when they don't know exactly when the battery will die. While you can keep a traditional gas car running for 30 years with minor repairs, electric cars turn into luxury electronic waste that has to be thrown away after just a decade. But the true tragedy behind these futuristic cars isn't hidden at charging stations or in luxury corporate boardrooms. To manufacture the hearts of these supposedly green and eco-friendly vehicles, a horrific human and environmental crisis is unfolding on the other side of the planet. A single EV battery pack requires roughly 8 kilograms of lithium, 15 kilograms of cobalt, and tons of nickel. Today, over 70% of that cobalt is dug out by hand by thousands of child laborers working for just $1 to $2 a day in primitive mines across the Congo, with zero safety regulations. Meanwhile, in South America's Lithium Triangle, billions of liters of groundwater are pumped out to process these minerals, completely drying up the water supplies of local communities. In order to breathe zero-emission clean air in Western cities, the world's poorest nations are being turned into massive chemical wastelands. This hypocritical green illusion isn't built on sustainability. It is rising on the backs of modern-day slavery. Furthermore, have you ever stopped to imagine what happens if even just 20% of the billions of cars on Earth plugged into charge at the exact same time? The reality is that the power grids of New York, London, or Istanbul are simply not built to handle that kind of load. Fast charging a single electric vehicle pulls as much electricity from the grid in mere minutes as an entire household uses over several days. Global power grids, which already struggle and crash during hot summer months just from air conditioning units, are completely helpless against the monumental load of millions of EVs. Governments are already debating smart charging policies to restrict vehicle charging during peak hours. On top of that, over 60% of the electricity used to charge these vehicles is still generated by coal and natural gas plants. The smoke that isn't coming out of your tailpipe is actually billowing out of a massive power plant chimney somewhere else. The zero emissions claim is nothing more than moving the pollution away from your eyes and into a distant power plant. Of course, to be completely fair, electric vehicles do offer some massive advantages. The biggest plus is undoubtedly fuel savings. If you charge your vehicle at home, it can be 70% to 80% cheaper per mile compared to an internal combustion car. Additionally, that instant, massive torque that propels you from 0 to 100 km/h in just 2 to 3 seconds, combined with a seamless ride with zero gear shifts, feels incredible. Thanks to advanced automated driving autopilot systems, they reduce driver fatigue on long highway trips to almost zero. If you are someone who strictly drives short distances in the city and has a dedicated charging setup at home, you are essentially driving around in a silent, moving palace of comfort. However, these advantages weren't enough to solve the global crisis. While the Western world was busy cutting production corners, China swept in from behind to pull off a massive technological leap. Today, China single-handedly controls over 75% of the world's battery production. Giants like BYD and Xiaomi dominated the market by manufacturing cars for $15,000 that cost European automakers $50,000 to build. This left traditional auto giants cornered. Things got so out of hand that even heritage brands whose entire souls are built on engine roar and mechanical raw power, like Porsche, Ferrari, and Lamborghini, were forced to build electric supercars. But when a $2 million electric hypercar accelerates in a straight line at the exact same speed as a $40,000 ordinary family sedan, the perception of luxury and elite engineering shatters. The wealthy have stopped buying soulless electric supercars. Ultimately, the electric car bubble has crashed hard into a wall of reality. Battery replacement costs that equal 60% of the car's original value after 8 to 10 years, unrecyclable chemical waste, and winter driving ranges that plummet by 40% have left consumers completely fed up. The automotive industry has finally learned the hard way what the CEO of Toyota has been warning about for years. Electric vehicles will never capture more than 30% of the total market. The future doesn't belong entirely to electricity. It lies in hydrogen, hybrids, and synthetic fuel technologies. For those who forgot mechanical quality in favor of a temporary tech illusion, the electric car era is coming to an end before it even truly begins. What do you think? Are electric cars truly the future, or are they just a massive marketing scam? Let's discuss in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.